Thank you. So good afternoon. My name is Alessandro. I would like to start just asking here, who already plays with Linux? Who is already running Linux, production or dev? Who does have some, could be very basic, dev skills in Linux? Good. So let's start by talking a little bit about what we want to achieve out of this session. So Microsoft has made some really good improvements in building a relationship with the Linux community. If we, if you look everywhere, we see this now that Microsoft loves Linux. In reality, Microsoft is playing with Linux for a long time, but we do have a relationship now, established one with particularly Red Hat and SUSE, CentOS, and so on. So, but thinking about Linux, we have our Linux workloads running. How can I actually get any information from those workloads? How can I get analytics or reports about, for example, what's going on with those workloads? My service is running, my service stopped. Can I actually get access to those logs without actually having to SSH to the Linux machine and getting the information? How can I get this? So what I'm doing on this session here, I actually have two sessions. This one and another one tomorrow on how to build Linux VMs on-prem on your machine running Windows 10 or on Azure. This one is more about how can I get all the information about the box itself, the Linux OS, and how can I get information about the workload? So to tell a little bit about the history about this thing, a couple of months ago, I was engaged with a customer, and they were running Squid proxy. Can I ask here, who knows what Squid proxy is? Great. Are you guys still running Squid proxy? So this customer, which is an enterprise customer in New South Wales, has about 6 Squid proxies running on a cluster. Very interesting because I came across of this. I played with Squid last time I can remember 2003. So we are in 2016, like 13 years ago. It's a really long time. But a lot of people still utilizing that. In reality, it doesn't matter what you're running. This is just an example. So when I start talking with this customer, I say, look, how can I help you instead of having a tool to monitor Squid, a tool to monitor your hardware, and another tool to do this? How about we actually have one solution that can help you get the information from your Linux workloads and from your Windows workloads and combine and give you some analytics about this? So that's the story behind this. So what I did is, look, I was a developer. Long time ago, back in 2002, 2003. It's really long time ago. So I cannot consider myself as a developer. What I did, so I actually had to write a small piece of code in Ruby on Rails, and I'm going to show that's really easy, to grab the log and the statistics from Squid and send that information to OMS. So I'm just going through some slides quick, and then I will show what else is there. So as we keep saying, Microsoft is definitely an open cloud, right? What is this about? Is that because for us, you can run any application, any framework in any device or any data. So we do have not only Linux, SQL Server, for example, now runs on Linux. Can I ask here, who knows that SQL now can run native on Linux? Did you guys know this? Yes, native. And the performance is the same. Incredible. Still use a lot of memory, that's SQL. But we also have now MySQL, we also have Mongo, and Oracle. We do have a lot of other database servers that you can run. So in terms of Linux, 29% of the workloads running on Azure today are Linux machines or Linux workloads. So it's a lot. It's almost 30%. So thinking about this, like we have Windows machines or Windows workloads. We know that Microsoft has a solution to manage and monitor this. Now that I'm moving my workloads, my Linux workloads to Azure or to on-prem, how can I use the same tool or anything to do the same thing to manage and monitor those workloads? So that is the solution from Microsoft called Operations Management Suite. So this is what OMS can do. We can have log analytics, we can have backup and recovery, IT automation, security and compliance. I'm definitely not going to touch base in all of this because we actually don't have time for this. But if you are interested on this, please come to me after. I'm definitely interested in talking to you, understanding what are your needs and how I can help you. Definitely interested in hear from you. So why OMS? Why would you go to OMS? OMS is a web solution. It's based on Azure. There is no need to install any server. You don't need to deploy anything. You only need to install the agent on the machine that you want to get information, if you want to get information from a machine, or if there is no machine, anything that it has an API or a log that you can actually grab that from. So again, it's all based on API. And because now, as we say, it's an open cloud, we can monitor your Windows server, we can monitor your Linux machine on-prem, we can monitor if you're running on third-party clouds like Amazon or running on our own cloud, which is Azure. So it doesn't matter where you have your workload, we can manage and monitor that workload, whatever that workload is. So this is an example of a screenshot of the OMS solution. As you can see here, I can do a Active Directory assessment. I can understand what's going on with my domain controller, what's going on, if there is any errors. Can you please show me what's going on there? Alerts, antivirus, what's going on with the antivirus? Is it installed, is not? If it's installed, is there any threat? Update. See, you can tell me, hey, you have, for example, in this case, 20 critical updates that you need to install and you're missing. And because it's analytical, it's not about just reporting. It will show you, hey, there are some updates that are old than, for example, 6 months. You never apply that one. And it will tell you how critical and why it's critical. It's not just you missing this. It's explaining to you why it's critical to have that update. Then we have things like network performance and what's going on with your own network. As you can see, there is a lot of small dashboards that when you click on this, it will expand. Great. When I saw this, I said, that's actually really nice. How can I create exactly the same thing for my own workload or for my own thing that I have running, for example, in Linux? That's why everything started, I said, I want to create the same thing to monitor Squid. So here, as an example, we have SQL. If I click here on this one, it shows me, hey, you have high priority recommendations for SQL. For example, hey, your temp DB is too small, you need to increase it, as an example. So, what can I do with my Linux? So out of the box, you can collect performance metrics on the Linux box. You can get the syslog events. You can get alerts from Nagios. Who are here utilizing Nagios? You're using Nagios? That's one, good. Zabbix. So this is like When I say out of the box, it's because someone at Microsoft or someone in the community created this plugin to get information out of Nagios or this from Zabbix or from VMware or whatever workloads, or from MongoDB, as well from Docker container. So these are the supported versions. We have Amazon Linux, CentOS, Debian, Oracle, Red Hat, SUSE, Ubuntu. But in reality, if you have other Linux versions, yeah, you can try installing the agent. I don't think there'll be much difference at all on getting the agent installed. So let me change a little bit. If I'm talking too fast, or you have any questions, please feel free to ask. Great. Oops. Yeah, it's me. Hello. Good. So this is the solution that I created. Let me actually go back here and show the, so this is my demo environment. I'm going to show you two demos environments. This is my personal one. As you can see here, I have this one here deployed just to monitor two Linux VMs. One is running Ubuntu, the other one is running CentOS. So first thing I see here is, hey, you have a critical alert in one, and you have updates coming. So if I could go and say, okay, let's find out what critical alert is this one, what's going on? And you say, hey, you have a status alert here. And if I see here, it says critical. I'll show later what this is about. And if I go to my updates, it's showing, hey, you have two VMs. One computer is called Squid. The other VM is running Ubuntu. So you have 9 critical updates missing on this machine. You have 1 critical update missing on the other one. And I say, okay, let's find out what critical updates are missing. And say, hey, you have 10 here. You haven't applied this one. And this is the important ones. One computer is missing. And this is the product that's missing. So you're actually missing to install a binge. So my DNS is not up to date. So I need to install that package. So now the good thing, you can do this manually. You can just go to the box and let's say run apt-get update or yum update or whatever version of Linux you run. You can manually run the update. Or you can automate this. You can go from the same tool, and as you get the alert, you say, okay, good, it's missing the update. I want to automate this. I want that machine to get up to date. So you can actually create a automation for this. Doesn't matter if the workload is running on-prem or if the workload is running on Azure or AWS. You can automate this with the Azure automation. So when I look at this, I say, well, that's actually very nice. I want to do the same thing for this customer. I want to do based on this. There's another one that is actually very important. It's a change tracking. So change tracking is going to tell me what change happened in my computer, when, which software, who did this. And all this information comes from the machine itself. It's just the logs. So we have the syslogs in Linux as we have the event viewer in Windows, or whatever other log that you have. Come on. Too slow. I'll show this on the other one. So this is the one that I created. So as I go here, what it's showing me is, hey, this is what's happening with your machine right now. So this is how much utilizing of the processor for the whole box. This is how much memory utilizing on the whole box, and processor type. So if you know a little bit about proxy Linux in Squid, this is how, hey, if my users go to the internet, they need a proxy. And I want to find out where they are trying to go, which location, which URL, and what's happening with the cache of the proxy. For example, if one person goes to one website, the purpose of the proxy is if two try to reach the same website, I will cache this. The second, third, and so on person that comes to the same website, try to reach the website, the cache would say, oh, I already have that information. There is no new information on the website. I'm just giving you already the information. I don't need to go there again and pick up more information. That's the purpose of a proxy, right? So, but saying this, managing my proxy, I need to find out information about my proxy. So here, for example, it says that I have some denied, I have some miss. It means it went to the proxy. The information was not in the proxy. And if I come here, it shows me, hey, you try to go to this URL. You try to go to this URL. This is 12 times, 9 times. It will show me the top websites that I try to reach. So from a management point of view, this is very important because I'm trying to monitor where my users are going to and maybe try to do something about it. Now that I did for the box, I also want the same information, but for the Squid process itself, not just for the box, but for that particular process. So what I did is, okay, I want to find out what's going on with my Squid service. So I captured, for example, the CPU and the memory just for that particular process, not anything to do with the box itself. I also want to find out the number of clients or users trying to access that box. How many users are trying to reach out there and on a particular time of the day. So I can say, for example, hey, midday or lunchtime, we have 1,000 users going to a particular website. For example, that information will be there. And how many proxy servers you have. You probably won't have just one. You have two at least for high availability. And here is all the logs that I'm capturing. So I'm capturing performance logs. I'm capturing the sys logs, which is all about the machine itself, or other workloads like DNS or configuration or updates that's missing. But this one here is SquidCL. This is the one that I actually create. So I'll show here now how I've done that. So the first thing what we need to do is we actually need to go to Azure and create a OMS. By the way, OMS has some plans that you can start with a free version. Free version is up to 500 mega. Is enough for you to try and play with one server, two servers. Of course, depends on how much data you want to send, but well, it's good enough for you to play with the software. Just to give you an example, and it's funny because this is going to be recorded. My son is going to listen to this. He's not going to like it. So we have a band, Microsoft band, and now when my son does gym, I want to find out what's going on. So someone actually developed a code to get the information from the Microsoft band and put on OMS. So I got that code and actually did this. So when my son goes to the gym, I actually find out what he's doing. So all the workloads, what's going on with him, because band captures that, like heart and how many runs and so on, all the information. I do have access. It's kind of fun. I actually did it for fun. But this is just to give an example of how can you use OMS to actually extend to anything that you have access to, like an API or log, or it doesn't need to be a band or a Squid or Netscaler. It could be almost anything that we have access to. Could be your wireless router in your house. You are, for example, concerned of what's going on if someone tries to log on your router or the performance of your internet at home. Yeah, maybe you can use the free version to actually monitor your router. You can expose the log. If you can expose the log, that's what you need. So, how can I deploy this? So think about a virtual machine, and what I did is I have this virtual machine, and I want to deploy this solution. So let's go back to how I started everything. So if I click here, virtual machines, so I have 2 virtual machines. How I got here, so that is tomorrow. I hope I'll see you guys tomorrow, because that's I'm going to show how I actually create a virtual machine and deploy that virtual machine in Linux. So as you get this virtual machine running, what I did is I went to a solution called Log Analytics, and I create. So you can actually create as many as you need. Just click on Add, and it will ask you for a name. That's just it. And what data plan do you want? Free, standard, and so on. Don't need to do anything else for now. So that's my Log Analytics screen. So you have this screen. What's the next step? So next step is you need to understand what you want to monitor. That's the first thing. And particularly in Linux, Windows is easy because it's almost there out of the box. But Linux, you need to understand what you want to monitor. Do you have access to this? Do you have admin access to this? Do you have a log? Do you have an API? So as I understand this, if you have access to the machine, if there is a virtual machine, you need to deploy the agent. So there are 2 ways to deploy the agent on a Linux machine. You can log on to that machine and do a wget and download the agent directly from Microsoft. So simple as that. Or even more simple, you can come here to this screen, and okay, if the machine is running on Azure, you click on virtual machines, it will show all the virtual machines that are running here. You can just click on that virtual machine. Can you see here, connect and disconnect? So my machine is already connected, so I can't install the agent again. So just this, install is connect, and remove is disconnect. Simple as this. As you click on connect, it will just install the agent, deploy the agent on a VM. Of course, for this to work, that machine needs to be on Azure. If you have a local machine, you need to go to OMS. So this is one way, right, from Azure. So what's the other way? So the other way, you can go to the settings, or when you open the solution, connected source, Linux servers, and you can just download the agent. That's another way. Or wget, as you click here, you see the URL. You better, if you have Linux skills, just go to the command prompt on Linux. The command prompt is good. To bash on Linux and just run wget and with the URL, and you get the agent there. Of course, what's going to ask you is the workspace ID and primary key. So this will link the agent with your own workspace, and as soon as you do this, after like, let's say 5 to 10 minutes, you're going to start getting information. What information that's basic, what I get from my Linux as installed. So let's go here to the search. So as I go on all collected data, it shows me, remember the logs that I was talking about? So here's the logs. So the first one, perf, for example, it's telling me, hey, you have a machine called Squid. The logical disk has this amount of free data, and then you can play with that information, create your own dashboards if you want to. Or, as I said, as I have mine, what I did is, hey, I want to find out. So my solution is all these logs here, the way we see, source IP, cache, status, all these logs that you can see here raw. That's how I got that information and created that dashboards. I'll show how I create the dashboards. But it's just raw data. I got this from the logs. So it's very simple. There is no magic. So if I go back, so the challenge when I was actually writing this is that if you know a little bit about Squid proxy, is that the log only gives me information about which URL and the client IP and destination. That's it. It doesn't give me any information about the service itself, the Squid. What's going on with the actual service? How much memory, how many clients are trying to access? I need that information, not just which URLs, or I need more. So what I had to do, I actually had to write two codes. One code to parse the log, like go get the log, run a regular expression against that log, and put the information here. That was phase number one. Phase number two was, okay, that's done. I know which URLs, everything else. I want to find information about the Squid process. How can I get this information? So Squid has a command prompt, command line that I can run Squid client dash some information that gives me information about the Squid process itself. What I had to do, I run that command in Linux and I found, oh, nice. How can I capture this? I run that command into a file. And what I do, I then go to I read that file. So every 5 minutes or whatever number of times you want to run, I put 5 minutes. Every 5 minutes, I run a command to read a file that's been generated by that command. I import that file into OMS, and that's how I got the information about process utilization, memory, and things like this. So again, you need to understand what you're trying to monitor. It's not actually bringing the information to OMS. It's the easy part. Understanding what you want to monitor, that's actually the difficult part. I tell you, I spent at least, maybe I'm over-exaggerating, but it was pretty much like this, about 2 weeks trying to get the regular expression to understand the access log from Squid. Again, I'm not a developer. Maybe from a developer, I would say, you're going to be kidding me. I would have that in 10 minutes, maybe 5. Excuse me, I'm not a developer. And there are many versions of Squid. It's just insane. If you Google that or Bing, you see there are many, maybe 300 different regular expressions. And you need to find one that will be quick enough and that will, doesn't matter with format of Squid virtual running, they'll be able to do this. So let me just pause a little bit here, this, and show my code. So this is the code. So it's in GitHub. So this is just actually just showing if you get this code, because it's public available, what you need to do, like instructions where you need to copy the configuration to a particular folder inside of your Linux machine. You need to change some permissions, like the owner, 744, what you need to do in order to get that script working. But the script itself, it's very simple. So what I did is, forgot about the first one. Let's go into this first, which is the actually log. I'm just telling, hey, this is the path for the squid access log, and I want you to parse this log. It's very simple. So this code is actually this. In reality, this is the code. Now you're going to say, really, you spent 2 weeks trying to find this regular expression? Sorry, unfortunately I did. If you know a better one, if you go through this code and you find how dumb, I actually have a better one, please email me. And I'll be very happy to go there and replace. So what I'm doing here is I'm just getting a regular expression to go against that log, and getting the information like time, duration, source IP, cache, everything that is on that log. The log, if we open the actually log, this is the log. So I had to create that regular expression to read this and get this information to show squid. Sorry, let's just to show like this. That's the only thing I did, nothing else. That command line, that small code, is getting all that information and bringing here to this. As you get the information here, so what you need to do is create the design. So that's the easy part, because it's all there out of the box. And how a solution design works. So how I actually went from this to this. So let's create another one. So I'm going to actually just edit here and show you guys what I did. So let's say, for example, this one. Let me just increase the... Can everyone see? So as you can see here, what I did is I just drag one of these to the middle of the screen. And this will open. And say, okay, what information you want to show? Oh, nice. I want to show the top URLs. So what's the actually code to show the top URLs? So it's just a query. I did, hey, if a computer is inside of a group called Squid, which you have to do because you're going to have more than Squid servers. So you just create a group and add all the Squid servers inside of that group. Makes things easy. And then count by computer. So I want to find out this by computer. And list for me all the URLs. So show me the number of computers that are sending data, and also show me all the URLs. Count the number of URLs. And because the software is smart enough to understand that what you're trying to do here, this is the only command. This is the command to show this. Simple, it is really simple. And even to make things more easy, what you need to do, if you actually don't know, you can see here, this is already a search. So, oops. go here. I could, for example, hey, show me every information just about Bing. So they will create a search for me, and what I can do is, okay, now measure, count how many times went to Bing. So there you go, you have already information about a particular website, or any information you want to. So here, all the information that we will show here is all about Bing, like when I went to see Bing, what happens, blah, blah, and so on. And you can just copy this, go here, and let's edit this, and okay, let's, for example, create another one. Carry, instead of everything, let's do this. So you just have your own carry now. Of course, you need to create, if you want a select carry, but you could have selected, for example, a graphic. Let's drag this one. And then from a carry, instead of this, I want this. So instead of creating a graphic about everything, I want a graph just about that information. Have I done right? Oh, I got one that's too much. No, too much. Let's get this. So I have 3 computers sending data, or in reality it's not 3 because it's not a computer, it's 3 times I went to see Bing, and there will be more information about that. Oh. Oops, need to close this. Save. Now if I click here, come on. I think I wrote the wrong one. Yeah, 9 results. So you can create the search or the graph based on the search that you had before. So this wasn't enough because just getting the information from the logs was not enough for me. So how can I actually got more information? If I go to my Linux machine, and I just say service, oops, sorry, disconnected. Need to log on again. So if I do this is showing me, yeah, fair enough, your squid proxy is running. What happens if it stops? So software is now not running, right? So if I forgot the password. I'm not running as great. Oops. Nice. Forgot the. Okay, let me clear this. Okay, so service is not running anymore, right? How I know that? Because the log itself, the access log, won't give you this information. And that's why I had to figure out, say, oops, now I have something running on Linux, and I have no idea if it's actually running or not, because the proxy doesn't have anything to do with this. The access log won't tell you this information. Yeah, we will stop writing the log. Maybe you could write a query if after 2 minutes nothing gets right, but this doesn't mean the service had stopped. Maybe no one is actually going anywhere. Maybe it's nighttime. Everyone went home and nobody's actually browsing, right? So I had to do find another way to, for example, shoot me one email if, let's say, after 5 minutes, this service is not running. I want to see one email like this. Where is my email? So I want to see this. I want to get an email, an alert, say, hey, there is a problem here. Your service stopped working. I need to take an action. So 2 things here. I can create the alert, and not only this, I can actually automate. I can automate the fix if I know the fix. If I know that my service is stopping, and if I know that just starting will fix it, you can actually automate this. You can create the code and fire that, what we call, let's say, webhook to start that process. So if I go back here to my solution, on alerts, that's what I did. What I did is, hey, go to the perf and check this object name called squid stats. And if there is a counter name called squid is running, if the value on that one is less than 1, so what I did with this one, I had to create a code to say if put 0 if the squid is not running, and 1 if squid is running. So when I do, then it's check every 5 minutes. By the way, 5 minutes is the minimum. You cannot check like every 30 seconds or things like this, right? So 30 minutes is the minimum, the time window. And if the result is this, shoot me one email. So that would be my email. I want to have this. If you want to automate, you can run a run block or a webhook. Doesn't matter, again, if you run this on your Windows 10 or Windows Server, or if you have your Linux physical box, or if you have your Linux VM running in any platform, you can fire the automation on this. You can automate this process. You can automate the fix. If you know how to fix, for example, you find out that the DNS is not running anymore. Service DNS or whatever the name of the service is, start. So that's what I did. So that's why I got that email. It's from this. So let's go to the second part of my statistics. So based on the fact that I was not just happy getting the logs, I had to do something about getting more information about squid. So let me increase this here. So I create this code. What this code is doing, let me just go directly to this, because it makes more sense, is this. Can you see that I'm running a command, squid client dash. So let's get this information here. So I'm saying every 5 minutes, you run this command. So if we go back here to our Linux, and just replace this with port 128, which is the default. Oh, of course not. Service is squid start. By the way, can you see that when I did run that command, I got an error? Because the squid was not running, right? Where is that one? I did try to run the command, and it got me this. So what I did, oh, nice. It means every time I run this, every 5 minutes, if I get that error, I'm going to flag squid is running 0. That's how I find out how to flag this. Right? So then I also need more information. I want to find out, for example, what's going on with squid. You have all this information just running this command. Again, what I had to do is, although I did play with squid a long time ago, I knew that was possible to get information about that process or about the service. Again, you need to understand what you're trying to monitor. That's exactly what I did. I went there and say, okay, I want to find out what's going on with squid. Can you, this software show me? Yes, it can show you this. Of course, the majority of things here is 0 because I'm not doing anything. There is no one browsing. But it will, you're going to have all this information here. So what I had to do is, okay, I'm going to now create a loop. After this command is running, I'm creating a loop and getting line by line on that command. And then, one by one, I'm just getting the information. For example, see, if I get an error, squid running 0, service stop it. And then when when I do this, and that information goes to OMS, remember my alert? My alert says, oops, I just got information that that particular counter has a value 0. Send an alert. And then I didn't get, on my plugin, I didn't get all the information because I just got what I went there and see some other tools in the market show information about OMS or about squid, and I said, okay, I'm not going to show all this. If you see that comment shows like maybe 50 lines or whatever. So I just got like cache, CPU time, CPU usage, because that's what was interesting for me to show. Client statistics, how many requests, how many hits, how many errors, information about the server itself. So that's what I got. So the code is there, it's public. If there is anything that you need more, if you're playing with Squid and hey, there is some information that Squid client show me that I need. Open the code, add an extra line, and just add the name for that one. This name here, this is what it's doing is go to that particular line and find out if this name here is in there. If that name is in there, get the value of that particular line and store on this variable. If we look here, that's exactly what I did. Line by line, how many hits? Just grab the information exactly how it's showing and find out if are you reading this line? Oh, nice. Get me the value of this line and store here, and that's it. It wasn't difficult. To be fair, was easy to write. Again, I'm not a developer. Was easy to write this code than actually writing a test Unity to find out if the code was okay. I had to do this, and trust me, it's really crazy. You need to think about every single possibility on your code. So I really have here to praise the test coders because they really had a hard time. It's not easy. So let me go back here to my presentation and I'll come back to this one here later. So again, how can you monitor a Linux server? Syslog is default. You don't need to do anything. If anything running on Linux send that information to syslog, You don't need to do anything that I did. Could I have done something different? Probably yes. I could, instead of having squid to write the log into access log, I could have access squid to write into syslog. You can do this. But why I didn't do this is because I wanted to have a separated information just for squid. I didn't want to mix all that information. I want to have a single information about a particular service. But you could do this. So you can also get OS performance via perf. So what we have there already? Apache. Who is actually running Apache here? Yeah. So out of the box, plugin is there for Apache. As you install, as you connect or deploy the agent, if you are running Apache, when you deploy the agent says, oh, you're running Apache. Great. I'm setting up here all the configuration to get that information from Apache and create a dashboard for you. It's really simple. Same with PHP, MySQL, MongoDB, VMware. I'll show here what actually is there. Now, that's MongoDB. MongoDB, it's kind of interesting because the idea for me when I actually create the squid, I based on the MongoDB one, because the person who created the MongoDB did exactly the same thing. He went to get the logs from MongoDB, but he was not just happy with that. He had to get the information about the database itself and tables, and so he did run a command and did the same thing, brought that into a file. So I went there and said, good, that's what I'm going to do. So I just developed based on this one. So that's how I did, right? So that's this story behind getting to develop this. As you can see here, there are many different ways to get information out to Squid. Windows Agent, SCOM. Does anyone here know what SCOM is about? Yeah, SCOM, sometimes Microsoft now calls it Operations Manager or System Center Operations Manager. Yeah, some people do ask, why I would then, do I need to get rid of SCOM? No, in reality, they play together and very well together. If you have SCOM, OMS actually utilize the same agent. So if you have already SCOM deployed, you don't need to deploy the agent again. You just need to go to OMS, I can show you, and say, hey, I have SCOM here. Can you please connect both? Simple. The same agent will send information to SCOM, and you'll send information to OMS. So why would I have both? Think as OMS as an analytics part of this. Who knows Power BI here? So Power BI is an analytics software. It will get the information that's raw, like logs, and we'll create those dashboards, but already with the intelligence behind this, with all the thinking behind. So that's OMS. It's all the thinking. It's not just, hey, you have the information here from SCOM. What I need to do about this? Probably you just don't want to see if a service is stopped. You want to see, oh, that service stopped. How many times? Are you missing an update? Okay, for how long? Right? So, and so on. So it's more analytical information than actually proper raw information. So you can get this from a REST API, from a Office 365, for example. You can get analytical information from Office 365, from Azure, Event Hub, Logstash, Splunk, and many other sources. Here are some examples of what we can get out of OMS, right? Custom application, Windows Event Logs, System, IIS, Apache, Wire Data, Linux is logs, JSON. And as you get that information, you can do whatever you want. You can create your custom view. You can do the log search, as I did. You can create alerts. PageDoot, Slack, OMS Workspace, email. It's totally extendable. And yeah, that's the monitoring squid that I did show. This is the regular expression, right? This is exactly what it does. It runs this against that line. This, by the way, was the information that almost took me, absolutely got me crazy, was to understand, because this is date and time and second, but in a crazy format. And you know what's easy for me to say, you know what? I will set the format, and if you want to run my plugin, you just change your squid format into my format. It doesn't work like this, right? Because we actually need to create the solution for what format you run. You can't just tell someone that's running squid that has a absolutely crazy access log with probably 2-3 years of data and say, excuse me, delete this access log, start from scratch, changing the format because I don't understand this. So I couldn't do this. So that's why it really took me time to create this. Again, if you know a better one, please shoot me an email. I'll be happy to fix the code. I don't fix that anything better, but anyway. And that's the coding, right? That's exactly what I need to do. So I just did a parse line, and line by line, I'm just getting the information. And this is actually, the information is there based on the regular expression. So it's not a mystery. So in reality, my code has, I have 3 codes. One is called squid.conf, which is the configuration for the actual code. It's showing where the code is, what's going to do, what's the format for squid, date format, and things like this. And the squid parse log, which is a Ruby on Rails script. And what it does create this log file called squid.cl. And this already. So let me just flick again back to this. Good. So when you click here, when you go to the settings of OMS, it will tell you actually what you can get, right? So if you go here to Linux performance counters, it's telling me, hey, what do you want to get? Do you want to get all this information or just one particular one? For example, I want to get all this information every 10 seconds, find information about the logical disk, find information about the memory every 10 seconds, and find information about the processor. But you say, actually, you don't need this. You just need, for example, just to find information about the free disk space, because you want to create an alert, say, if the space is less than 10% of the actually size of the disk, send me an alert. I want to find out if the size of there is no free space. Or you can create a custom log. So you can manually create this. Custom log, you can create this. Or, as I did, by using code. So my code actually created this. My code, I have other codes running here. So my code went there and say, hey, add new variables to OMS, and this is the content. Like HTTP response, host that's sending information, URL that's some URL that the user is trying to visit, and user IP. So all this, it's manually created by that particular code. that code will do exactly like this. We'll extend. When you create this, it will add the dash underscore CL into the log. But you could get from syslog. So on syslog, we have alt, priv, cron, daemon, kern, local, syslog. This is what you get. You can tick or untick if you don't need any of this. So as I said before, I could just say, okay, I just want to get syslog. Anything that gets logged to syslog, that's it. I don't need to capture the access log. It depends. The same thing can do for you if you have a particular workload that you want to monitor. If that particular service is writing to syslog, out of the box, don't need to add anything. So if we go here, let me go back. So that is my workload. Oops, sorry. So that is the Microsoft master repository, Git repository for OMS. So why I'm showing this? Because this is an open community. It means a lot of people will also do exactly what I did. We'll create other plugins for something else. So, and this is the place. For example, I did not yet put my code to download automatically. I'm going to do this? Yes. It means when you install, when you do connect, if your machine is running Squid, the plugin will be downloaded automatically. Have I done this today? No, I have not. It's just one line. I haven't done this yet. But other are actually developing the same thing. So if we go here to this URL, this is the URL. I don't know if you guys can see, but I can definitely. And great. Right here. So that's the URL that you want to go and find out what else is there. So if we look here into the source, plugins. So this is what is available there. So we have an agent to get information about audit, parse, check information about collect. What else do we have here? Nagios. If you run in Nagios, we have a Nagios filter. Same for Zabbix. We have information about patch in Linux. We have information about security, syslog, heartbeat. And the list goes on. So, let me increase. So we have Zabbix here. We have VMware as well. Can you see here? We also have VMware. We have MySQL. We have sudo here. We have, what is MongoDB. So if you have another database that's not one of these and you want to get information out of that, just find out if that database or that particular service, where does it write the logs, so you know the path. How can you interpret that log, like run a regular expression around, against that log? And that's the easy part, kind of. there are some sites out there that actually, if you copy and paste the information, you can just try the regular expressions. It's actually going to create the regular expressions for you. Then you can try. I'm sure if some of you are developers, there'll be a 5-minute job. So this is all the plugins. If you see here, 14 days ago, someone did a change on this. 7 months ago, a year ago, 9 months ago, 11 days ago, 20, and so on. So this code here, this repository is live. Every time someone finds a bug, Microsoft will fix this, or if you someone develops something, you can just this. Not only this, if you go on the left side here, can you see here that branch master? So that means this is Microsoft. But many other people actually created a lot of things. So for example, mine, it's somewhere here. I think mine already get merged. But maybe what you're looking for is not already with Microsoft. Microsoft hasn't approved yet, but doesn't mean that you don't. So if there is something else that you're looking for, maybe it's also worth going through the other personal ones and find if someone developed. My recommendation is, if you do this, copy this into a dev environment, run this against your dev environment, find out if the code actually does what you need to, run some unity tests against it, give that machine some information, give it a try, run, and if you think that the code is fine, yeah, move it to your workload. You can just copy the same thing as the instructions that I did on my code showing you need to copy the squid.conf or whatever conf to a particular folder and the RB folders to another folder. That's pretty much what you need to do in terms of playing with OMS. This is the Linux version. There is another way as well to do, I'm not covering here, but there is a SDK for Windows. Similar thing. You can extend OMS in any way. Okay, so let me go back here. So, service is squid stop. And let's see if I'm gonna get my email or not. Do I still have some 5 minutes? 5? Okay. I'll wait for this one to get the email. Does anyone want to ask any questions? It doesn't show the timestamp. Okay, let's see if I understood correctly your question. Can we get the microphone to her? So if I can understand is you receive the alert, but it doesn't show the actual time that happened. I think you can customize, it's actually a good question. This is actually the time that the search found the issue. It's not the time where the issue happened. In reality, is the information here is for you to go back to OMS and find out more about the issue. It's just an alert because what happens is we run this every 5 minutes. It could happen between any of those times. And if you create the alert, it could happen that depending on how you create the alert, between that 5 minutes, it can trigger another one.
Once it's passed through a connector and then once it's to your ticketing tool, you still get the exact timestamp when the alert has been generated. So
no, let's bring this offline. Now we'll work with you on this one. Happy to do this.
Okay. All I wanted to know is like if I can customize the timestamp.
Okay, let's find out about this. If I can't find the answer for you, I will reach out the PM and we'll figure out this. But I'm happy to work on this with you offline. Anyone has any other question? Do you think you can do, or do you have any other similar workload that you think you can do the same thing? I'll tell you again, I am not a developer. I don't know how many of you are developers here? Now, let's see, good. So you're like me. Exactly like me. I wouldn't say zero skills because we started, I don't know most of you, but I started as a developer a long time ago. My career was a developer before, from college, but I moved to IT Pro. But what I'm saying is, there are many examples like this. If you go to the repository, you see that there are a lot of different ways to get the information. And if you understand what you're trying to monitor, you can pretty much go there, have a look on how they're doing to monitor, as I did. I didn't know anything about this. I went there and said, oh, they are getting information from MongoDB by getting access to the log and running some command and getting the information about the process and writing that into a file. And then there is some small code here that actually just read those files and send that to OMS. Sounds very simple because it is simple. It is not complicated. So I do hope that you're going to go home or even create, if you bought your machine here, go to OMS, you just type, if you type this, so this is a demo environment which has much more information. But if you just type mms.microsoft.com, that's it. You can create your own OMS workspace. This is just one example, right? Let's see if I have one thing here. I'll show you. Oh, not this one. Yep. Yeah, so that's actually a good question, and thanks for bringing that. So yes, OMS need a connection to a HTTPS connection to Azure Workspace. So you need that. If you have an environment that doesn't have it directly, you can download the gateway. That is a download on the settings, but you need to have between that secure environment and the gateway a communication. Then the gateway will send the information to OMS. Just remember, you're not receiving any information, you're just sending, right?
It's small for our lower environment.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah, I know Microsoft work in two walls actually, but happens for private cloud spaces, something which is Amazon. So will they be looking at this as well?
So I don't have that information, but I can tell you that OMS is a cloud solution, and I don't think, and I don't have that information if Microsoft will ever deploy OMS on-prem. So if you're looking for on-prem solution, then I would look after SCOM. So that would be your solution. But again, I saw some environments where they say we do have strictly rules where there is no internet connectivity. If you deploy a gateway on-prem, that one will get all the information that you need. You can send the information to this gateway. This gateway will send the information to OMS. And again, who has access to this? It's only you, right? So it's secure. And you not, there is no information coming into your environment. It's the opposite, it's just sending. And it's HTTPS.
It's more
I know.
security business case.
Yeah. So let's see if I have one information that I want to show here. So this is actually fine. So there is one solution called Service Map that's very nice. What Microsoft done with this is they go and they analyze the application, like running on Apache, for example, and it would tell me which connections that application have. For example, that application connects to this port, to a gateway, through HTTPS, to this one, to SSH, and to this, but also connects to a database. So it shows me what's happening, and it's a service map. That's actually the purpose of this is, hey, show me what's happening with my application. What kind of connections I do have, what's happening with that application. Let's say if there is an issue with a database here, the database stops working, you get a flag. Say, hey, this one here will become a problem. You need to fix this because it has all the information where this application connects to. So this is the beauty about having a analytical solution that it not only understand what's happening with itself, but understanding what's going on around you. Unfortunately, we need to deploy that solution on-prem. We don't have this. So it shows, for example, here, if I look, see? I have an issue with Tomcat. It's flagging me. And if we extend this, say, hey, there is an issue with the application pool. Can you automate this? Yeah, you can also automate this. Say, hey, for example, restart the application pool. As an example, right? I don't know, could be any other issue. You need to first figure out what the issue is and try to write a fix for this. But there are many other solutions. I would just show here some of the solutions that it's out there, out of the box. You just need to install. See? We have SQL, Azure application, Azure network, upgrade analytics. For example, if you're upgrading your Windows 10, you can install this tool. It will show if your machine is ready to upgrade or not. With Linux, it will show you what's going on with that machine, which I showed already, right? What updates you're missing, if it's critical or not. Can monitor Hadoop, Active Directory, which is now coming to Linux as well, and many other things. Containers, who is playing with containers? So that's another thing that I can monitor as well. So it's out of the box. Anti-malware, compliance, change tracking. If someone go in your Linux machine and change a file or change the ownership of a file or change from read to write or change to execute. So that gets tracked on the change tracking. You get a notification about this. There's so many things you can do. If someone, for example, you have a restrict group and you say, this is a restrict group, I have a white list of who are members of this group. And if someone else gets added to that group, you get an alert say, hey, someone added a user to this group. So all of this that we can do, and it's all extensible. This is just one example. That's what I see, but look, I am sure that world is like open to whatever you have out there. This mic is definitely doesn't like me. Yeah, so we have wire data as well to get information about what's going on with the network. And thanks for coming. If you have any questions, let's see if my Twitter is here somewhere. Oh yeah, used to. So my Twitter is Cloud Tidings. Just reach out to me, or if you want my contact, just come by. I will give you my card. I'm really happy. I work for Microsoft, so I'm happy to go and look into your what you need one by one. Happy to do this. So this solution is not on the master yet because I was too lazy to learn about Git, and and I'm keep saying this to people. I'm not a developer, so I still need to get around Git to publish into the master. So I'll get my card here. If you want to talk about this, let's